Sorry about that.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Look, it tells us a lot, it tells the Australian people a lot about those opposite, that they think that cost of living pressures began with the inflation circumstances that the world has experienced since the war in Ukraine started last year. It tells you a lot about those opposite, that they think that all of us should engage in some exercise in collective amnesia and put aside the 9 years that they were in government. Because the Australian people right now are looking at two stories. There's a 9-year story, which was the government of those opposite, and there's an eight-month story, which is the Albanese Labor government to date. We know, all of us in this place know, that there are cost of living pressures. We know what that means for Australian households and Australian businesses. When it comes to Australian households, we know particularly what it means for low-income households, for young people, for people on the minimum wage, for people who rely on the age and disability pension, for people in rural and regional Australia. We know what it means. It means some very, very difficult choices. There are some households where the choices are in that discretionary space. There are some households where it really is about essentials. You know, there are people in this country who are going to the pharmacist, and instead of getting the 4 medicines that they've been prescribed, they're thinking about which 3 of the 4 medicines they can afford. And that is a terrible thing. And this government has responded to that particular kind of circumstance by delivering the largest decrease in the maximum cost of PBS medicines in Australia's history. That's what this government has done. The cost of living pressures that are the foundation of the circumstances people experience right now include, of course, 10 years of stagnant and falling real wages that they did nothing about, that in fact was a deliberate design feature of their approach to the economy. It includes what the Health Minister said in question time amounted to the gutting of the universal public health system in this country. 6 years of Medicare freezes. Since the turn of the century, PBS, the maximum PBS medicine doubled, and half of that was under them. So those are the kinds of things that Australian households have experienced with no relief for 9 years under those opposite. We've been in government for 8 months, and we know there is a cost of living crisis that is putting Australian households and businesses under enormous pressure. So what have we done? We've increased the minimum wage. We've changed bargaining conditions under the Secure Work Better Pay laws that they opposed, so that people can actually get a fair share of the productivity and the profits that their labour contributes to. At the end of 2021 and in early 2022, after 9 years of those opposite being in charge, wages as a share of the economy had fallen to the lowest proportion of the economy as a whole in history, in the record books, and profits were at the highest share of national income in the record books. That's what they delivered for this country, and that's what Australian households have experienced from the coalition, which is now in opposition, of course, the no-alition. We've taken a very different approach. We know that cost of living pressures are real. We know that the Australian people expect their government to take a focused and stable and competent day-in, day-out approach to tackling those issues, and that's what we've done. We've done it with wages, we've done it with medicines, we'll do it with childcare, we're doing it with expanded access to parental leave arrangements, we're doing it with energy, we've done it with a cap on the wholesale cost of gas. We've done it in all of those areas in 8 months, and that contrasts starkly with 9 years of those opposite. 9 years of stagnant wages, 9 years of rising health costs, 9 years of rising education costs, 9 years of cost in pretty much every category that you can possibly think of. And yet they now expect the Australian people to forget altogether those 9 years, to go through the sort of the Men in Black magical device exercise and indulge in the collective amnesia that would see all of that neglect, all of that dishonesty, all of that incompetence, all of that mismanagement put aside so that they can indulge in the same old scare campaigns, the same old blame campaigns, the same kind of negative politics that has characterised them in all of the 21st century. Well, they're getting something different from the Albanese Labor government, It's what the people in Australia should expect from government, and it's what they're going to get from us.
Thank you.